to the Be Insightful in Technology podcast. I'm your host, Shikirah, aka Shy, and I'm here to help you gain knowledge, wisdom, and understanding to be insightful in technology. We have our guest today that I have been chopping it up with over these past couple minutes before we even started recording. So I'm going to let him introduce himself and then we're going to get into the nitty-gritty.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much, Shah. I am Peter Kyrgyz. I am the owner of SwiftPress Support. I have the privilege of uh, just like Shakira, that she's in technology. I also am in technology. So I work for my church full time as an IT manager. I've also had the privilege of being an IT manager for some large banks and also doing network administration for colleges and universities. And I also own my business where we build websites and apps for small business owners. And so I had to have my hands on a lot of different things. So I'm honored to be here and to talk about tech today. And hopefully this will be an insightful episode for the audience.
Oh, and where can people find you as well? Any social medias, websites, and I can make sure I link it all in the show notes.
Yeah, the best place to go is going to be for my business website, which is SwiftPress Support, which is where people can get, hire us and check us out for websites and apps. And over there, you'll find also all of my social media handles. So we'll have, you can find me on Facebook and X and Insta and everything else. So, but the best place to go would be to swiftpresssupport.com.
All right. I still forget that Twitter is X now. I still
I
forget.
know it's messed up everything. I mean, Elon Musk, he's got to ruin a good thing, but it's okay. Yeah, it is X.
I would say like after watching like a documentary on him, PayPal was previously X when he was working on that. So it's like it's a circle moment. It's just bringing it back. That's all it is.
Oh, that's funny. I didn't
Okay.
know that.
Yeah, there's like a whole documentary on it. I didn't even know that he was like part founder or something of PayPal. Interesting, but that we all learn something new every day. So
Yeah.
I'll make sure to include all your socials and website in the show notes so that way people can look what you have going on, connect with you and see what's happening. So let's talk about this journey a little bit. You have, you're in IT, you've done it for many, many years. Let's start at the beginning. What got you interested in, going forward with that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I have about 24 years experience in the IT industry. So I've been doing it since 2000. And, for me, it started when I was in college. I was trying to think, okay, what do I want to do when I was in college? And believe it or not, I actually wanted to be a film director. And
What
so
happened?
yeah, I'm like, how did you end up doing that? So I live in Los Angeles, which is, right here. I live in Hollywood, 20 minutes away from Hollywood, and I want to be a film director. I want to create my own movies. I've always been moved by cinema and making impactful movies that really move people, and I wanted to do that actually as a career. However, the thing is, in this town, everybody wants to be either an actor, an actress, or a film director. It's like so prevalent. And you meet people just like, like waitressing, who are trying to break into the industry because it's such a difficult industry to break in. So I said, you know what? I don't want to risk it, and not make it. So I'm like, why don't I get into a good industry and make some decent money, and then after that I could switch careers after, like, I've made some good money and I'm well established. And so I said, okay, what am I good at? And since I was a kid, I was good at computers. So I've always been like in my free time. I'm not the kind of guy that's like handy or like goes like gets tools and like builds stuff. I was never into that. But give me a keyboard, give me a screwdriver, I'll open up that CPU, that PC, twink in there, take out that RAM, and put it all together and build my own PC, do that kind of stuff. That was me. So that's what got me into IT. So I started IT in college, and I graduated back in 2003, and I've been doing it ever since 2000, where I had an internship, and I've been working in the field since then.
Okay, so do you have the feelings to get back into the film, or is this like your entry into it to do the podcast and the videos?
Yeah. You know what? The thing is, Shkira, is that it changes, like
Mhm.
you're what you're vibing with, it's not always the same. And what I was vibing in my 20s, it's not the same as 40s. And now I've got a wife and kids. So like there's some other things that are more important to me. So the answer is no, I don't actually picture myself going back to film school or anything like that. And I'm thankful actually that I didn't go down that route, because I'm really happy with the route that I did take, and it's opened up so many doors for me, just incredible doors that I wouldn't be able to go through if I hadn't gone down this road.
Oh, and I definitely feel you with it opening up doors because one thing about this IT field is so dynamic where you really don't have to stay in one thing if you really don't want to. Like you can shift and move. Um, I think with like IT, it's like you understand the core fundamentals of it, you can really go anywhere. Like as long as you're willing to learn, there's so much that you can do. So let's talk about your current business. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, for sure. And it's funny that you mentioned that because even before our call, you were telling me about how you shifted also even in your career because at one point you were doing help desk and then I think you moved to the knock side of things,
Yes.
right? And
Hmm.
then I don't know, is that where you're currently at?
I'm not in the knock anymore. I get to be on the network engineering side of it. So I went from help desk to network help desk to engineering side. So I got to explore and do that. And it really took a lot more push on my side, like, proving that I can do these things and getting out there and showing my experience. And that was actually like one of the things that showed me like I have a great work ethic. Just got to embrace
Yes.
that part. Great work.
Amen. I love that. I love that. And you know what? I think the beautiful thing about IT is that, like you said, is that you can try all these different things and see what works for you and what you enjoy and what you like the best. That's exactly what happened to me. And guess what? Me and you, both of us have customer service personalities. Okay.
Mhm.
So yeah, you're a very bubbly person. You love to laugh, you love to joke
Yeah.
around. And in IT, if you work in help desk, oh my gosh, I'm telling you, companies will pay top money for those kind of people if they can understand tech and also jive with people. Because you'll know that executives in any corporate company, their number one complaint about IT is that they're not very friendly and they talk
Mhm.
over their head. They talk geek talk. So when they're talking, they're trying to explain like, hey, what's wrong with their computer? They're like, oh, it was the DNS, that it caused a problem, and then your browser cache, need to be flushed. And they're like, excuse me, I just want you to fix my computer. I don't need you to
Right.
tell me my whole life story. And people, the business executives, time is money. They're frustrated. But if you find somebody who's able to take care of the geeky stuff and to be able to speak business talk and speak English, and not over the person's head,
Mhm.
those people are so incredibly valuable. And that's why I could tell Shakira that you are so valuable in what you do, and people see that, and that's why everywhere that you go, doors are opening up for you, and you're getting promoted, and you're experiencing a lot of success. So that in itself is incredible. And I similarly started out like you. I also started out in help desk support and doing it. I started off as a network administrator, and I also had to do. I was at a college campus, and I also had to do was responsible for 400 computers, and for like I was doing it for a network college, who was teaching like Cisco certifications and teaching IT security and things like that. And but just soon enough, I just kept on climbing the corporate wall, and I found lots of success in the IT field. But after a while, and that's the beauty that we're talking about, is when you try different things, you find out what you like. After a while, I got tired, and I didn't kind of enjoy doing all like the server stuff. So I was doing a lot of like Microsoft Active Directory, doing that kind of stuff. And I was after a while, like I was just seeing the same thing over and over again. I was like, this is boring. I want like people actually want something interesting, something fun. And in 2010, I had the privilege of marrying my wife, and it's been an amazing experience. I love my wife. We married for 14 years. We got two kids.
Well,
And
congratulations.
oh, thank you so much. And so when that happened, there were some people that couldn't make it to our wedding. So my wife was like, "Hey, can you put the photos of our wedding onto a website so that they could see it?" And I said, "Yeah, sure." So I was like, "Okay, it can't be that hard. I'm a tech guy. I'll go build me a website." And so I went out there and did research about, hey, what are the tools out there? And I just found this whole world of websites, and I started creating one. And my first website, oh my gosh, it was so ugly. It would make you throw up in your mouth, let me tell you. And but I did create one for me and my wife, and We put our wedding photos on there, and that opened up the door for me to be like, man, I really like enjoy building these websites. And I went down that road, and then the doors opened up where people started hiring me to build websites for them, and companies started hiring me to build websites for them. And I started my own side business, and now that's what I do. I build not just websites, but my company also builds apps for small business owners that don't break the bank.
Hmm. All right. So I love like, talk about your journey of just getting in there and the people side focus of it. Like I have been around the I'm gonna say the cold heart IT people. I'm gonna say it like that, where it's
Yes,
just they're all about the technical stuff. They don't want to bring the definitions down to, meet it at a person who is not in this level. So that's one of the things where I know the value in that. The When you see people like that, you just know that hey, they're if you want the definition broken down in the technical aspect, they're the person you go talk to. But if you
yes,
just want the hey, give me the summary of like, why can't I just reach this? Right? It's just like, hey, this connection point is not there. We just have to put it there. It's just make it simple.
yes,
And I really think that the more people do get into this, the more of a variety of people like that we'll have. So all the people, the extroverts, or even if you're introvert, but you're still sociable, we need you. We need
we
you.
do. Please, yes. And also, we just talked about earlier how we need more women as well. So if you're a woman
Yes.
listening to this, please break into the industry. You're gonna make it through. We definitely need more of you as well.
Yeah, I have been noticing like they ask me, hey, can you get more women in the field? And I'm just like, yes, but they're afraid because it's not more women in the field already. But at some point, it's like chicken and egg problem. But we just gotta push through. We gotta push through.
Yeah,
They're looking for
yeah,
us. They want us. Get get out there. Like I realized that in a couple episodes ago, I think me and Byron talked about just the bias that could be out there.
yes,
But outside of that, just go for it. The opportunities are there for you. They really are. So,
100%, a
yeah.
100%. And you know what? I found also, I don't want to add to any biases, but I found that women are especially talented also as managers in the field, because they have very high emotional IQ, which does not come naturally to men. And for me, I'm always learning about emotional IQ and its importance from my wife and from other women managers that I have the privilege of working for and with in the field and in other areas. And it's wonderful because if all we're doing is just talking about the jobs, tasks, projects, and all that is, it's how about the human aspect, the emotional aspect, because people have emotions, they have problems, and the biggest problems that you have at work are the people problems. Actually, it's usually not project problems. All the project problems in tech, they can be solved with technology. But ultimately it's people issues that come up, and how to get along and how to create a good positive culture. That's wonderful. And so that's why I'd love to see, for as in the IT sector, for us to grow in that area where we can learn more about emotional IQ and how to connect with people and how to create positive environments for everybody.
Yeah, I definitely advocate for that. The emotional intelligence part, I I will say I have been grateful and thankful in my career that I at least have it so that way I can
Yes.
maneuver and navigate with people and be able to answer any questions that come to it. Like I have not had all but like only a couple of issues with people. I've only a couple, and that's just because when you bring positivity to the table, it'll meet you back. That's how I
For
see
sure.
it. So I have
Yeah.
gotten to the point I have no problems addressing things because nothing is ever coming from a hateful place. It's always like, hey, if there is an issue, how can we resolve it? As like engineers and people in this, we are always trying to solve a problem. Always trying to
Yeah,
solve
and
a problem.
I can feel that with you. Like even since our first talk and we were talking, yeah, you're a very positive person, and I think that's wonderful. And it basically definitely takes you to far places, and people value that, because nobody wants no negative Nancy's, or a negative Nana or whatever you want to call it. They do. There's too much negativity also in the world, so it's nice
Mhm.
to have a fresh perspective.
Just like the more positivity, the better. I realize like I just enjoy being happy. Like that is all it is. And it's amazing when you see people around you happy. And even if they do go through something, sometimes with the emotional intelligence, they just want a listening ear. That's all it
Yes,
is. You just want someone to
amen.
vent to. And they may just need a different perspective. Like a lot of, I would say a lot of the guys might not have had no one to kind of listen to them express a problem in like a more people focused way. So that's what I like when you mentioned like the women managers, like we have that emotional intelligence where it's about just being able to listen to the people you support.
Yes, that's exactly it. And unfortunately, for me, at least in my experience and what I've witnessed in my career, is that the men managers and other the men coworkers they tend to overlook that part. And so when problems come up, or even problems can come up because people overlook that, so then it's just like, well, hey, you know what? Like we're emotional beings, as opposed to the woman managers that I've had to report to, what really showed like a great detail of care for their employees and had a personal interest in them. And when I felt that hey, my boss, who I report to, cares about me on a personal level, it motivated me to want to do a good job for her, because I was like, hey, you know what? I want her to look good to her bosses as we produce results for this project. And so it was just like, this domino effect that, hey, because one domino fell down, it pushed all the other dominoes down the road. And that's the domino of the emotional IQ and being able to connect with people and to care for them and to really show that they're more than just a person behind the keyboard. They're a whole being, and they've got a whole life and a family, and things are interconnected. And I find that that's one of the things that I've had the privilege of learning from my female counterparts and female bosses that I've had the privilege of working for. That I've hoped to have implemented for me now, as I am a manager and I'm also an owner of several businesses, and I have employees, and I try to care for them just the way I've seen people show an exemplary care for me in my career.
Ooh, this is very interesting that I got like your perspective on this because I went to a talk last year. It was like a women in tech talk or global women in STEM talk. And I spoke and I realized like when all of the women come together, we're sharing our thoughts, opinions, we're expressing it. But a lot of what I heard was I'm not being heard at work. I need an
Oh,
advocate. Like I I need someone to be there and be on my side. There were some men at the event. And even now I realize like even in some of the things spaces that I've been in, some of the women who don't have a male advocate are less likely to speak up. And it's interesting because to me, with the amount of siblings I have, the type of family I have, we gotta speak up. Closed mouths don't get fed. That's the motto around here. Closed mouths don't get fed. So when I hear kind of like different ladies' perspectives on it, I'm just like, why not just say something? And I will say I've had to take a moment to just listen because everybody does come from a different background. And when you have, we're stronger in numbers. That's really what it is. Stronger in numbers, take that information back. You can learn everything at the Global Women in STEM type of meeting with all the women talking and sharing their opinions. But if there's no, let, what I don't want to say it like this, but this is how it's coming to mind. If there's no male in power there to take it back, it's like, was it for nothing?
yeah, it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that it has to be that it is that way. Because it shouldn't be that way. Not at all. And it's sad that it is. And I'm glad that women can come together and be stronger in numbers. Unfortunately, it's necessary at this time. I hope in the future that it will no longer be necessary, but we are seeing, I'm just, citing the statistics, inequality in salaries between men and women in the field, where men get paid a higher amount. for doing exactly the same job as a woman who has exactly the same expertise or similar and has the same knowledge and can do the job the same, if not even better. It should not be that way, you know. So that's why, you know what, because there is that inequality at the moment, we have to
Mhm.
speak up. And as a man, I see that, I call it, and I speak up for it for my sisters in the field. That's very something that's very important to me because I want to see equality in this area because I see it's an injustice. And I don't want to, if I don't speak up when there's an injustice to me, the other people are not going to speak up either.
Mhm.
But just like you said, what goes around comes around. Basically, it's a full circle, and that's why. Hey, you know what? I want to be an advocate for something that in this field, and I hope that soon we'll be making more breakthroughs in our industry, so that we no longer need to have for every woman to have a male advocate. It's just not
Mhm.
that everybody's advocating for themselves, and everybody's equally heard and given an equal opportunity.
Ooh. We get in there. We get in there. I was just like, I think we were talking earlier where I can see the more representation for women in STEM, even at an earlier age. Like the girls are getting into the programs, like we have more push, it's available more, it's more widespread. I've had a lot of women on the podcast that are paying it forward, where they went through their career and they're coming back and they're just like, hey, it's not as hard as y'all think out here. It does not have to be a man's world over here. Y'all, come on. Come on.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And I've also had the privilege of going to business conferences, places like those conferences that you're mentioning. That I do see that the women who have been successful are coming back and they're trying to, basically take a hand and give it to other ladies and other women. Say, hey, come, let me help you out. And it's wonderful. And we need to have more of that done, because definitely we need to see changes in the field, and that's really important
Oh, yes. Changes are coming. Feel like
for sure.
everything is coming to light, things are shifting, and we will be up there. I can't
Yeah,
wait for the numbers to like equal out, in all honesty. And I'll say like everybody has something, a different interest, you know? So if it's still a little lopsided, just more representation of opinions and just how people actually handle things being expressed and displayed and cared for and taken action on. Let's say that, taken action on.
yeah, for sure. I think what's going to be interesting too is that just to think about, what are the implications of artificial intelligence, and
Mm.
do we still have jobs in the future,
Yeah.
as IT people? Because according to IT, according to the AI, is that AI is going to displace about 300 million jobs. So who's going to be able to pivot and who's going to be able to be like, hey, I'm going to learn a new skill that cannot be done by AI and I'm still going to be valuable, or I'm going to be an employee that uses AI in my field and I'm going to be also very valuable to my employer. I think those are things that are very important for us to also to be discussing these days, because we are seeing, a lot of jobs on the field that are going to be displaced by AI.
Mhm.
And if you're not careful, you know what, you might be one of those people that's on a chopping block. And I hope that doesn't happen to you. So keep your eyes open and make sure that you're you're willing to sharpen your skills and learn new things as we progress.
I was just like, AI has been such a big topic lately, and it's just how fast it's moving. With like, we all talk about Chat GPT, but it's like even workplaces, like internally, they're testing it out. They're seeing, okay, can we can we make this schedule off of this, or can we do this task and not require anybody? Like, can we resolve all these issues without a person being involved? So even if people are working and they kind of notice it now, think about what it'll be in like the next 3 years. It's like, all right, is this something that I do on a daily?
Yeah, for sure. I think there's also some benefits. Like, we were talking about emotions earlier, but because
Mm,
people are emotional, sometimes, emotions get in the way and it causes conflict at the workplace, right? So, hey, you have two coworkers that can't get along with each other. Well, now the project is stalled and there's problems, because two people are going at it and having issues. with AI, you don't have that. There are no emotional issues between AI and AI. It's just like, hey, it's just a computer program that's running and it's doing the work, and if it can be replaced, it's very attractive, of course, to upper management who just cares about the number, getting the work done, and doing it as for a profit. So that's why, what does the future look like? I don't know, but it's whatever we make of it. And, hopefully the people that are, sitting at the helm and who have the power to create these decisions, and it's not just in our country, in the US, but also worldwide, because we're competing in AI against other countries as well. And who knows if they have the same values as us. And if they don't, well, maybe they'll make a different turn and it'll cause some areas of concern. Let's just say that.
Mhm. It's a whole lot to look into it. I strongly suggest like people that are getting into it, they've been saying the top skill. I think this is like a broken record at this point. The top skill to learn is artificial intelligence. And mainly it's just you really want to be on the other side of it, as in just creating or, troubleshooting it. Like there will be times where one thing that we really value is people who can resolve a problem. Like there will be a problem with AI. Can you resolve it? Like we have normal problems. Like one thing I think about often is like I've been thinking about this more as security. We're just putting products out there. We're putting data into it. But what happens when, say somebody enters in some very personal information and it spits out on someone else's computer as they, query some information? What do we do then? What do we do
Yeah.
then? And it's security has always been an afterthought, but it's always one of the most important things because, it's either pay for it then or pay for it big time later.
Oh
And
yeah,
so,
for sure. Yeah, and it's funny that you mentioned security because this is, I think, very important. And I think that over the last few years, that more and more companies are investing in security, because you know what, when they haven't been, they've had to pay very, very heavy fines.
hmm
Think about like a big time breaches, like the one from AT&T, one from Target, one from other companies as well. That have been had major breaches, and tens of thousands of people is out there on the dark web, and they got fined, by the SEC, by the different branches, and of course, not to mention the loss of customers who are upset because their data was breached, and it's out there on the dark web, but social security numbers are out there, full
hmm
information can be sold, all sorts of fraud. So that in itself, I think that more companies are willing to invest in security, whether buying gear, appliances, or whether and to invest in IT personnel who are knowledgeable in these areas.
So, hey, y'all been hearing it. It's been out there. It's
Yeah.
been out there. So I'm really interested to see how things turn out, especially with like the AI deep fakes and things like that. It's like a lot of it is preparing people for it, like maybe more trainings to understand of like, hey, what was it? I think there was a deep fake where someone was, calling a company as an executive trying to get the financial stuff and they ended up doing it because the person thought it was real. So it'll be more security intensive training to get
For
people to
sure.
see the differences between the real and the fake because I would say it's not entirely perfect yet. Um, Older people, I have been seeing my grandma, for example, play with these AI photos like crazy. She'll post them on Facebook, makes her look like, 20, 30 years younger. And she's having fun with it. But at the same time, that information is still being used for other things. Sometimes we don't ever know where it's going. They could put
Yeah,
in the disclaimer, they can put in the terms and conditions. Nobody reads those. Nobody reads those. And
that's true.
so it'll be it'll be a very interesting future and I'm really excited for it. Like we're living in those times, but the progression of it, you got to see the tech boom and all the stuff, right?
Mhm.
We're getting to see like I guess the interconnectedness with just the whole thing with social media being just so available and then the whole like our tech bubble is the AI stuff when you think about it. Like that's us in my generation. We're getting to see what compares from like a computer mind versus human mind. How can we make those things the same? That is what we're seeing. And I'm very interested to see how they handle it. Like we talk about robots taking over, it's already in the process.
Yes, yes, they're already here, and the thing is that we only see what the companies want us to see, but
Mhm.
we don't know what's in their lab and what has already been created, and just they can't release it yet, or it's still, needs to be refined. But there's some big stuff, and every single time that a new AI model comes out, it's like infinitely so much better. So just imagine, the robot that can do stuff, all these different things. And then yeah, it's kind of also scary, because if a robot can be programmed, maybe at the time that you buy a robot, you know, it's good and friendly, but then somebody programs it, it's like, hey, can I kill you? Can it be programmed to kill me? I'm like, I don't want to buy something that can be programmed later to kill me. I'm like, oh no, what did I buy?
Right? I'm like, everything could be changed. Everything really can be changed.